Where are you from?
Reidsville, North Carolina.
And certain part you represent?
Yeah, Reidsville, North Carolina.
Oh, I didn't know if there was even a more specific part you represent in there.
Nah, a small city. Population about 12,000.
You still reside there today?
Nah. I stay on outside the city in Charlotte.
Okay. How far is Charlotte from that city that you just mentioned?
It's about an hour, 20 minutes, give or take, depending on how you drive.
And what age were you when you moved?
Probably about say about 21.
21 years
21,
old.
22.
And what was the reasoning for the move there?
Just want to make a transition, environment, I felt like I was getting too big for the city. I needed to broaden my horizons a little bit.
Speaking of the environment, can you paint that picture for us? What was it like growing up in the city you were born?
I mean, it was like any other city. You had your regular, shenanigans going on or whatnot. Single parent living type. Single parent household. I grew up in a single parent household, so like we stayed in like some apartments. So it was like my mom, a couple of my aunts. It's probably maybe about 3 or 4 of my aunts stayed in the same apartment complex. So it's more like it was a family environment, but it was still like low income housing. So I mean, growing up as a child, I ain't gonna say it was like rough, but it was all right. I can't really complain.
This was considered poverty?
Section 8. It was Section 8, but like I ain't know it at the time. I ain't really had to go without. I couldn't afford the newest Jordans or the newest stuff. We was on a budget. And, as a child, you don't really, know what's really going on until you get of age where you can't, you don't understand that your parents not making enough to be able to afford to get you certain things that you ask for. So, as a child, you really don't see that. You just thinking you're not going to get it or whatnot. But it was all right. I considered it was poverty, but it was all right to me.
Now, was your family ever able to get out of that class financially of poverty and move up in life to either lower middle class, maybe something even beyond that?
Yeah. Of course, as I got older, we moved out the apartments, and my mom, she finally got a house, moved across town, went from the east side to the west side. I spent a good bit of my years over there on the west side, and it was all right. It was all right growing up over there. It was another part of the town that was, it was still poverty over there as well, but we was, making that transition, moving from an apartment to a house. So like, it was a blessing, but at the same time, we were still in a bad neighborhood. Yeah.
Now, growing up in poverty, and it comes to a point where you make money at a certain age, do you have to chip in with the bills?
I ain't never really had to chip in with the bills. I would help out as I got older. I'm say about, far as like, when you say chip in with the bills, is that far as like paying the rent or just buying my own clothes?
Chipping in with the bills. Some kids, they get a job, some kids do street activity, they make money, they chip in, they help out with the rent, that sort of thing. Sometimes they're asked to do so, sometimes they just take it upon themselves and do it.
Well, I ain't gonna say I really helped out with the rent, but what I did was I wasn't able to get clothes and certain shoes and stuff like that. So what she couldn't provide for me, I provided for myself. Or if she needed anything extra, you know, gas money or, you know, light bill, you know, something minor. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't that major because at the time it was like, you know, I ain't even supposed to have no money myself. So I ain't really actually like, oh, here go the money for the rent this month. You know, like I ain't do nothing like that because like she always had a steady income. She may didn't have enough to provide for the things that I wanted, but the things that needed to be paid was always paid, you know. We might have went to the due date or got something turned off, but it got turned back on, you know. So now I never went to the extent far as paying an actual bill, but I did have to provide for my clothing and, you know, things and stuff like that that I wanted.
Do you go the job route to get the money to provide that sort of thing for yourself, or do you go the street activity route?
I mean, I did whatever, you know, I made little hustles here and there, you know, to provide, to be able to get what I wanted, you know. You get to a certain age, you want certain things, you know, other kids is having and you can't get. So like, I mean, I did whatever I had to do to survive.
Did you try your hand at a job?
Yeah, of course, yeah. I had one job. I had came home from prison. This was my first job. Came home when I was 21. And I had a job at a funeral home. Yeah, so, you know, I was washing cars, you know, picking up dead bodies, and, you know, things like that right there, setting up tents for the funeral home, whatever they needed me to do, running errands, death certificates, you know. It wasn't really, I wouldn't say a job because a job is something like, for us, like, you know, you got to be somewhere at a certain time and, you know, this was more like, really like laid back, you know, come and go as you please type. You know, it wasn't no 9 to 5 or I got to be here from a certain time. Nah, you come in, we need you for this, we need you for that, things like that.
How long did you hold that job down for?
I did that job for about, let's say probably about 5 years. About 5 years I did that, you know. I could come and go as I please, so it was like, it really wasn't like a job, you know. I supposed to be in at 11, I might come in at 12 or 1 or, you know, do whatever I needed to do, and I was still able to do whatever I wanted to do at the job. So, like, it really wasn't like a job where I'm being monitored or I gotta do this or do that. It was like, whenever you get time, can you do this? Or can you do that? So.
Was it tough?
Nah. It was a cakewalk. Yeah, that's why I say, like, it wasn't even really a job, you know, because I could still go and do as I please at the funeral home, you know. So, and then it was basically on some, like, I knew the guy who owned the funeral home, and you know, he just looked out for me because I had just came home. So he was like, yeah, I know you probably don't really need a job, but, you know, just to keep them people off your back, you know, we'll give you a check. So I was like, I'm with it.
Any crazy stories dealing with that job? Anything that happened out of the norm?
Nah, I ain't gonna really say nothing about the norm because I wasn't really, I ain't really deal directly with the bodies or nothing like that. It was really like I mean, you really got to have a stomach for something like that. And it really didn't bother me too much, you know, as far as, you know, the way I grew up, you know, friends passed, and I heard a lot of people like, yo, I couldn't have worked up there seeing this and seeing that. But like, it really came like natural to me, you know. Even when I was younger, when I was growing up, I actually wanted to be like a funeral director because, like, when I looked at the funeral director, I looked at somebody as being successful, coming from where I come from. You know what I'm saying? As far as like, you know, he had a nice car. He had a stable job. He had a nice house. You know, when you look around in urban environments, you don't really see too many people like that, that you can really inspire to want to be like. You know, but you know, things happen and you take different routes and different paths to get places that you need to be, you know, on a shortcut basis or whatnot.
How does the gig end? You quit? You get fired?
Yeah. Actually, I ended up getting fired because it got to the point where it was like, damn, you know, really, you don't need the job. You come in whenever you want to. We tell you, can you be here this time, or we need you to be here this time, and you come in whenever you want to come in, you know, and like it got to the point where like they knew I didn't really need the job, and I was just really coming in whenever I wanted to. Really wasn't doing too much, just sitting around eating the clock up basically, you know. So they were like, yeah, you know, we're gonna have to let you go. We hate it, but you know, they still, you know, would call me from time to time, ask could I do something, but I was always busy anyway. So I'd be like, nah, I'm actually doing something right now. So yeah, they ended up letting me go.
You mentioned you did a stint in prison.
Yeah.
State, federal?
It was federal.
How much time did you end up serving?
It was 37 months.
So 3 years.
Yeah.
And some change.
Yeah.
What was the charge that got you in there?
Cocaine. Powder cocaine.
Possession?
Nah, like sold to like an undercover, you know. Yeah, it was like sold to like undercover. This guy, they moved an informant in on our neighborhood, and you know, I was young, and you know, actually they were trying to get another individual, and you know, we young, you know, running up the cars, and you know, just trying to make a dollar, and end up catching the charge.
How old were you at the time?
Oh man, when I caught the charge, I'm gonna say I was probably like, I think I was 17, because they waited a whole year to come and get me. They waited a whole year before they came and got me, because you know, dealing with the feds is like a sealed indictment. I guess they waited until I turned 18, and they came and indicted me on that charge. Yeah, for powder cocaine. Yeah.
This is something that you take a plea deal on?
Yeah. I was gonna go to trial, actually. You know, I was gonna go to trial because, I mean, they said the most time I was facing was 60 months. You know, at the time, like I had just turned 18, so I'm like, yo, 60 months ain't, you know, it ain't really nothing. You know, shit, I'm 18, I'm still young. So what ended up happening was a guy who had got locked up with me that I knew that was an older guy, he was supposed to be like some kin to me. And my lawyer, like, it was a couple guys that got picked up, but I was like one or two of the guys that had a paid attorney. And, you know, with the feds, it's like, you know, your attorney fees run like 20 grand just to retain an attorney. You know what I'm saying? So like I had a attorney and a paid attorney, and my attorney came to me when I was getting ready to go to trial and was like, do you have any, you know, relatives or whatnot locked up? I was like, nah, I ain't got no relatives locked up. And they was like, well, you got somebody with your last name saying they're willing to testify if you go to trial. So I was like, nah, I ain't, you know. I was like, shit. At first I was like, man, the hell who? But then I knew who it was, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, damn, I ain't even gonna let that nigga get no time cut off me. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna just go ahead and plea out. You feel what I'm saying? I ain't got no charges anyway. So I was like, fuck it, you know, shit. So they hit me with the plea. I think my guideline was like 31 to 37 months or some shit like that. They hit me with the high end. It was cool.
What did that teach you? What did you learn from that?
I mean, it taught me how to be a man. As far as being like taking responsibility and actions, you know, taking responsibility for my actions. And it showed me like everybody that you think cool with you ain't really down with you until you really go through something like that, a situation like that, and you see who really in your corner. Everybody say they cool with you until you doing a, bid or whatnot, and ain't nobody picking up their phone or checking in on you, sending you no money or whatnot. So it really taught me the ones that was down for me are the ones that, stayed true to me. Like those are the real ones, that I need to really like surround myself with, real individuals.
Now, when you get involved in street activity in the very beginning, was it a friend or family member that put you onto it?
I mean, I ain't gonna say I got it. Like I said, I was, ripping and running. I was, doing what the normal kids do in a urban environment. I ain't gonna say nobody really put me on. I was doing what I wanted to do. So nobody really tell me like do this or go do this. You had your old heads. We call them OGs or whatnot. Like, sending us to the store. Store runs. Giving us $1, $5 here, to go back and forth to the store. But ain't nobody really put me on or do nothing like that.
Now, when someone gets involved in street activity, obviously, it's a risky path. And there's things that can happen with that. Obviously, you experienced one of them, which is jail time.
Yeah.
Other things that can come with it, obviously, certain consequences, certain levels of stress, the looking over your shoulder feeling, the violence, worst case, death.
Yeah.
Did you know this stuff from the jump when you got into it?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I done had a lot of close partners of mine, got killed, at an early age, So, that's just something you come immune to with, living in urban environments, It's something like natural, Like, it's really only two choices, if you playing that game, death or jail, very few, make it out or whatnot, So you really, you testing the waters every time you're doing that or whatnot, Yeah. So it's something that, people know it already when you jump in.
Did you have an exit strategy with it at all?
Of course, that's why I'm doing the music thing, Like I always wanted, like people used to always tell me like, yo, you need to rap, Like, talk about your life, stuff that you done done, people want to hear it. And I used to be like, man, I'm good, I ain't no rapper, So like, and then when my man, DJ Crazy A, he was like, man, people want to hear your story. People want to, like, talk about what you do, like, what you done and what you got, and, like, you already living like this, You've been living like that, so talk about it, People want to see it, you did your thing or whatnot, and, you did time for it, so, talk about it. So it's more like an outlet for me. I do like the real estate, I got a couple things like that right there going on, like anything that's really trying to turn a dollar, legitimately, that's what I'm with, like in this music thing, it's like, it's like the new streets, like this is where it's at.
Was there any regrets taking that path? Hindsight 2020, everything you've experienced up to this point.
No, I wouldn't really say no regrets, none but me, being away from my family, yeah, that's really like the main regret, being away from my family, because when you do a bid, like your family do that bid with you. So like, yeah, that's the only regret I really got, just putting that stress on my family, my mom, and coming up in that single parent household. So like, yeah, I know it was a lot on her, You know, her baby boy wanna do things to provide for itself. You know, so I ain't gonna really say I got no regrets. You know, I mean, everything that happened made me who I am today. So if that wouldn't have happened, I wouldn't be here.
Was it worth it? Was the risk worth the reward or what you got out of it?
Nah, I mean, I ain't gonna say that. Hell no. Hell no. You know, hell no. And like I said, it sharpens you up in life, period. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, prison can be dangerous, you know what I'm saying? Because you go in and you meet individuals all over the world. You know what I'm saying? So far as like, you meet some good guys, you meet some bad guys. You know, but you know, the good always outweigh the bad. So you meet people all over the world that's, especially in a federal prison, that's you know, connected far as like with anything, far as real estate, owning companies and you know, just different business, you know, every walk of life will be in prison. So you sit down and you talk to these individuals and whatever plan or whatever that you've done to get in there, you talking to another individual and they might give you hindsight on some idea or some business venture on when you get out, you know, to change your life. Because not everybody in there for doing something, I mean, they did something wrong, but like they was doing something right before they did that wrong. And they might have been successful at doing that, whatever they was doing, you know, before they, you know, made a decision to get them where they at, you know. So like, I ain't gonna say I had no regrets or nothing like that, but like, you know, the relationship that I made in there, those individuals that show me about business, you know, one-on-one, for like with real estate, you know, just certain business ventures that I do today, I learned from in there, from individuals that were successful at other fields that I had no clue about, you know, for as being like a homeowner, you know, in the urban environment, in the hood, all people glorifying when they go to jail, or what kind of car they had, what kind of rims they had, you know, and you meet, you know, quote unquote, white people or Hispanic, and they talking about the houses they had, the boats they had, and the trips they took, you know, far as like with their family and what they spent on those trips. But you got the average black guy, he go, and he talking about, he had the 30s on the car, and man, I had the donk sitting up, or I had the Benz, I had the Bentley or whatever, but he don't own nothing. You was renting the house, you know, so like, you mentally rich, but you physically poor, because you ain't got a damn thing when you come home. You know what I'm saying? Like that car you had is then depreciated. Them rims you got ain't even in style no more. Them clothes that you got, that shit ain't worth shit. You know what I'm saying? So like, it straightened up my priorities. You know what I'm saying? So like when I got around those individuals that had business mind and you know, there was running companies, you know, Fortune 500 companies. There was some people that didn't beat the government out of 80 million, you know what I'm saying, 90 million, you know, sued the government while we was in there, you know, like telling like, when I get out here, I'm gonna fly the fucking private jet over the prison, you know what I'm saying, da-da-da, like got the councils and shit fired because they had pool, you know what I'm saying, they was somebody on the outside world, you know, when you in there, you know, they try to tear you down and talk to you like you ain't nobody or whatnot. But like, yeah, like you meet those individuals and it changed your whole mindset and your perspective on life, on far as like what's important. You know what I'm saying? Like the clothes and all that stuff, that's nice to have, but what about the real wealth? Is obtaining real estate, you know, land. They don't make this stuff no more. You know what I'm saying? If you're gonna buy houses or you're gonna buy a house to own, not to rent. You know, so that don't sell it, keep it, and get that residual income. So that's what I learned, you know, in prison. So it really made me a monster when I came out, to the point where if you're gonna buy cars, don't buy one, buy them in both. Make a profit, you know, because, you know, you always had tax season come up and people are looking for cheap, dependable cars, you know. So I had a guy that, you know, he got his dealer's license. You know, I buy a couple cars, flip them during tax time. You know, it was all type of ways of trying to make a legitimate income. And then with the housing market, when I had got out, it was down. So it was people selling houses for a little or nothing, you know. And I jumped on that, you know, and wanted to venture in. And I had already learned from people telling me on how to invest your money and keep your money turning for you. As far as buying the houses, instead of selling them, you keeping them and try to obtain as many as you can without a bank loan. You know what I'm saying? So that way, once you got them, they yours. So if you don't rent them out tomorrow or the next day, you don't really have to worry about paying that bank back. So when you do get a tenant in there, whatever you put in the house, you add that up on how much. If you put, like, let's say for instance you put $12,000 in the house, you know, okay, and you getting $1,000 a month, you know, okay, in 12 months, I'm gonna make my money back of what I put in the house, you know. So anything after that 12 months is pure profit. So you learn other ways on how to make hustles, you know, and that goes from being around other individuals who think on a different, like, level. You know what I'm saying? They ain't on a one-track minded way of this the only way to make a hustle. It's all type of ways to make a hustle, but you just got to surround yourself with the right people, you know. And that's just even like with the music business, what we going through right now. For us, like, you know, independent artists and artists is signing with labels. You know, the independent artist is really winning if they got a bag behind them and they can put up everything on the front end and receive everything on the back end.
When you did get involved in street activity, did you hide it from your parents?
I mean, I wouldn't really say hide it. I mean, because, I mean, when I was in the street, you know, you in the street for us, you already stand in a bad neighborhood, so yeah, like you out, you just playing. I mean, you doing what the regular kids is doing. You know, so it ain't really like hiding. You ain't doing nothing disrespectful in front of your mom or your parents or nothing like that. You know, I mean, they ain't dumb, but at the same time, you ain't gonna disrespect them.
I meant when it came to your hustling and that sort of thing.
I mean, like I say, you know, I did whatever I had to do, you know, at the time. Yeah.
Now, you were obviously 1 foot in, 1 foot out, 1 foot in school and
Yeah.
1 foot in street activity before you ended up getting snatched by the feds. Were you able to complete high school? Were you able to get a diploma?
Yeah. Actually, what happened was, when they got me, I never had no record, so I wasn't a flight risk. So I got bond. Once I got bond, they put me on house arrest, and it was like pre-trial release or whatever until because I was gonna go to trial, like I said, until I found out, you know, somebody was gonna tell on me or whatnot. So in that process, they said I can either get a job or go to school, you know. So I was like, I'll finish up school. So I ended up getting my degree like that.
Now, why do that? Was that your mom pushing you?
I was just, you know, I wanted to do that for myself, you know,
Okay.
and get my high school diploma to make my mom proud, you know. That's every parent's, you know, dream to see their child graduate.
Because sometimes when I do these types of interviews, obviously, when someone is in 1 foot, 1 out school and street activity, there's interviews I do and kids drop out. They get immersed in the street activity path. Maybe they're making a lot of money and they don't see a need to go or finish. So just curious as to why you did when some other people I've interviewed didn't.
I mean, well, you know, I mean, it was like a fashion show to me. I mean, shit, yeah, we wanted to go to school. Shit, we wanted to show off the clothes and, you know what I'm saying, like, you know, kick the shit with the fellas and, you know, and the girls or whatnot, you know, so shit, hell yeah.
And that's another interesting point that you bring up. Did you ever have school uniforms?
No, hell no. Hell no, we wearing Timberlands and hats and fitted caps and all type of shit. Nah.
Do you think that may have contributed into your path for street activity?
Nah, I mean, because this is like, you talking about like high school and stuff like that, you know, when you was wearing it, when you could wear that type of stuff. Even in middle school, you could wear all that type of stuff. No, I mean, no, I wouldn't say that.
Reason why I bring that up is because there was a time during this segment where you said you've seen other kids with stuff and you wanted to have that as well. And I didn't know if clothes was something that may have been a trigger to, get money to keep up with that. If you understand the parallel I'm trying to paint here. Do you feel like, for example, if kids had school uniforms when you grow up, do you think maybe you wouldn't have taken that path to earn money to keep up? And
it ain't about keeping up. It's about just wanting nice stuff. You get to a certain age where, the kids is talking about the Jordans or they talking about the Nintendo and, the PlayStation or whatnot, like certain stuff that they getting, but you can't afford that stuff, so you go over their house to play with that stuff. Certain toys and go-karts and, the four-wheelers that people said, hey, you want that stuff as a child, So it was more of, trying to satisfy that inner child in you as you get older. I want that, I want this, I want that, But no, uniforms wouldn't have had nothing to do with that, you know what I'm saying? Because if you piss poor anyway, it don't matter if you got on the same uniform or not. Your uniform might be clean and pressed up and nice and neat. I'm coming to school, my uniform smell like, a couple days old, because it probably ain't been washed, you know what I'm saying? So it's, I wouldn't really say uniforms had nothing to do with it, Like I say, it goes back to your environment.